I am Coach Sess, and you are listening to Words with the Mad Coach. What's on my mind today? The word performance. The word performance. You know, I refer to myself as a performance strategist. Not so much just a coach, although coaching is a part of it. A performance strategist makes sure that you go into the battle with the right game plan, the right tactics, the right mindset, and everything is worked from the gym. We do everything leading up to the actual event. We don't wait to get there and try to figure it out. Now, I am one hell of a storyteller. I can read a fight, but that is not where you do your fight strategy or your performance strategy. That is where fight IQ comes in, and I think sometimes people get those two things confused. Fight IQ, performance, they think they're together. One overlaps the other. At some point in time, they all touch upon one another. But when you want to study it and you want to get true understanding, you have to separate it. When we're talking about performance, we're just talking about what happened. Don't judge your performance. Measure it. What most athletes end up doing is judging their performance based upon some ideal that they have in their head, and they can't wrap that thought around what actually happened. So in their head, they're supposed to walk in, knock somebody out like Mike Tyson, or submit them like Buchecha. And if that doesn't happen, then they're trying to figure out what is it that I didn't do right. So you hear things like, I got the win, hand raised, got the W, but I didn't have the performance that I wanted to have. That is not totally correct. You did have the performance you wanted to have. It's based on the way you train. It came from the gym. Let me explain. If you train in a way where you're always dominant against other guys, even if they're dominant, but you're just a little bit better than them at what you do, you won't face up to a threat. So you won't move beyond a certain level. So, and because those guys bring certain skill sets and they're limited to some degree in their skill sets, we all are because we can't do everything. But let's say they're limited in the sense that whatever your opponent does, they do it just slightly at a lower level. So your opponent has something to say about your performance. All right? So if you don't train at the level or prepare at the level of your opponent and his way of thinking, his way of moving, his way of attacking, his way of defending, your performance is going to be, at the appropriate level to get the win, but not the appropriate level to get the finish. Because he has something to say about it. Whenever you say things like, hey, I didn't get the performance that I wanted, but you won, ask your opponent how he feels about that. All right? Especially, have you ever watched those fights where the guys are like busted up, black eye, bloody nose, and they get the W, and the other guy over there is clean, and he feels like he was in the fight? You think that guy feels good knowing that you won? Of course not. He'd rather have your face than it would kind of justify things like, yeah, okay, I didn't get the W, but I look a mess. So you can't judge your performance. You have to learn to measure your performance. And you measure it by simply what did you do in the fight? Did you listen to your coach? Doesn't really matter. It's only what you did. If the coach offered sound advice and you didn't take it, it's all about what you did. That's it. That is how you measure your performance. You look at what you actually did. You cannot judge fights in the gym. You cannot have this romantic view of things, from 100 yards away. You have to be in the thick of things. You have to deal with threat. You can go in the gym, right? and take on the best guy, the baddest guy, and match skills. Play a game of chess with him. Go back and forth. That does not mean that you're training properly, because you're measuring everything according to this guy, and this guy's style could be 100% wrong. 100% wrong for the guy that you're about to face. All right? That is why you go out and find sparring partners. That is why you go out and find guys that are similar to the guy you're about to face. That is why you go out and put yourself in conditions that the other guy is used to putting people in, and then you try to come up with the answer. That's how you learn to finish a guy, by drawing him into your funky little world, set in a trap, and then bam-a-lam, unleashing it. You knew he was going to do a certain thing, and you were right there waiting on him. That is how you do it. You can't judge performance based on your perspective. It's really hard to do. You have to look at it from the other guy's perspective, number one, because he lost. He'll tell you if you did a good job or not. The other perspective is the rules, the criteria, the parameters of the fight. You know, Chael Sonnen said it a couple of months ago. There's a reason why we have judges. So don't beat yourself up by saying, well, I left it in the judges' hands. That's why they're there. Train according to how the judges think. Train according to how judges have done things in the past. That's why they're there. So yes, leave it in the judges' hands if you have to. All right? If you get a last-minute opponent, sometimes you got to be ready to go to the end. But that is why you learn to train and fight till the end. Most guys go in the gym, they train based on the knockout, based on the finish. They don't train to the end. All right? Because training to the end means you're going to run into problems. Training to the end means someone's going to catch your leg and sweep you. Someone's going to take you down. Somebody's going to hit you with a good body shot. Or maybe even get you in a submission. Training to the end means risk. It means threat. If you train to the end, and you're not always the big fish in the pond, I guarantee you'll find a love for the finish. And then you can find a love for your performance. You know, if you look at the other guy, and he thought he did everything that he needed to do or could do, but you were just better, and still went the distance though, dude, take it. Take it. Look at performance from this perspective. Let's say it's not a fight that has rules. Let's say a woman is out on a dark highway and she stops to help a stranger. The stranger attacks her. Now, we know she shouldn't be doing all this, but I'm just trying to create a narrative here. She tries to help this stranger. All right? She fights him off. She runs. So, number one, she leaves her car behind. She runs. He attacks her again. He bloodies her face, scratches her face. She's able to get away, fight him off again. She's crawling through the woods. She's getting scratched up by trees. She climbs over a fence, sprains her ankle. But somehow she makes it home, and she's safe. Now she's bloodied up. She's in pain. She left her car behind. Do you think that woman is going to say, man, I made it home safely, but I'm disappointed in my performance? No, she's not. All right? She's going to be happy that she's alive to some degree. All right? That she made it out alive. Martial art, at the end of the day, still should be about the martial part, the real fighting. And I think sometimes as sport athletes, we forget that part. But it's that part that fuels our mentality. We need to get back to that mentality. We don't have to get in the gym and go for the kill. All right? There's so many new and better training methods out there for us to raise our levels and skills and abilities, that we don't have to hurt one another. But the mindset, that's where you develop your reflexes. That's where you develop your fight IQ. That's when you develop your awareness to every possible situation. But it's also where you develop your acceptance of the situation. What happened is simply what happened. What is happening is happening. What is going to happen, you don't know. And that's the key. You don't know. So you just train. And you train from threat. You train with your back against the wall. You train from a point of disadvantage. You train with fewer tools. But you're willing to do one thing and one thing only. Go through it. And once you go through it, you have all the answers that you need. Because no coach, no training partner, no black belt, no expert, no world champion can tell you what that thing is. You have to go through it. And when you go through it, you'll be surprised to say, oh, I didn't know I was this type of fighter. Because you have to train with threat. I am Coach Sess, and you've had words with the Mad Coach.